Thanks for staying with us here on TVC. Breakfast is not time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. The Nation newspaper, Nigerians in Middle East send distress calls as government halts pilgrimage. Next is the Blueprint newspaper, Middle East war, Nigerians in distress, seeking updates on evacuation plan. That's according to NIDCOM. Federal government halts Christian pilgrimage, last batch of pilgrims arrive. Next is this Nigerian newspaper, 2027 presidency, forget it. Fintiri tells North. Adamawa governor says power should remain in South for another 4 years after Buhari's 8 years. Next is Nigerian Tribune. APC governors consolidate as party picks state excos or executives. Aidatiwa loyalist hail exercise. Ex-deputy governor emerges Oyo chairman. Akume earlier produced parallel excos in Benue. And then Enugu Delta governors pick former PDP chairman to lead APC. Next is the leadership newspaper. APC state congresses, crisis escalates in Ondo, Delta, and Benue. The Hope newspaper says Kolawole Babatunde emerges new Ondo APC chairman as Aidatiwa calls for unity, party cohesion. Next is Observer Times. How bribed security agents enabled El-Rufai's airport escape. And DSS hands 5 airport security officers to ICPC following confessions of bribery. Agency arrests suspects linked to assassination plots against Obi and Oyegun. And the Punch newspaper, tax law, VAT hits record 1 trillion naira as new sharing era begins. States, local governments pocket 903 billion naira under revised revenue sharing formula. Federal government's share drops to 10% as subnationals gain larger slice. Good news. And the Platform Times, no more roadblocks for tax enforcement, says federal government. We hope so. Over 80% of workforce in informal sector now targeted fairly. And the Guardian newspaper, faulty design, vandalism, neglect, endanger $3.4 billion rail overhaul. Nigerian News Direct, Nigeria's maritime sector records historic growth as cargo capacity hits 129 metric tons. And last but not least is the Sport and Life. Terrific, Lukman Atletico qualify for historic final. Okay, I'll be doing this with my colleagues, Toma, Ria, and someone here, and myself. Okay, let's get down to the brass tag. If you look at Toma, if you look at the Nation newspaper, we started off by talking about the crisis in the Middle East. Yes. Nigerians in the Middle East send distress calls as government, halt pilgrimage. The same thing for Blueprint. We see Middle East war, Nigerians in distress seeking updates on evacuation plan. So on one hand, those who are supposed to go on pilgrimage, we know that yearly people go on pilgrimage to Mecca, the Holy Land. The same thing, they also go to Jerusalem, in Israel. So I understand that some who are supposed to land in Israel, some of them were diverted to Jordan or something. But Saudi Arabia is also telling people who are currently doing Umrah or those who are stuck that they will ensure that they stay free in different hotels and all of that, because no one knows when this madness is going to end.
Well, the projection by Trump is 1 month, but I've listened to quite a number of analyses, especially one from a retired colonel of the United States Army that says 1 month to him sounds very ambitious, that what he's looking at is up to 90 days, of this kind of stuff. Now, taking into consideration the availability of armaments in Iran and in Israel and the United States. So we might be talking about fuel increase and all that for another 90 days, but that's just projections. But for the pilgrims, and my heart goes out for them, to them. You went for a religious exercise.
That's right.
There's no way you would have thought that this could be a life and death situation. So apart from stopping pilgrims, from Christian pilgrims from going to Israel for pilgrimage, which I support 150%, those that are already in the Middle East, what are we doing to get them out? You know, that's when people were criticizing air peace at one particular time when
the South African saga.
Yeah, why should you do this? Why should you do that? I said, look, man, this man is giving Nigerians a service that the national carrier should have. If we had Nigerian Airways, would we be asking these questions? But now we don't. So the people there are they are confused. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Ria, if you see it, even Dubai, which has the busiest airport, has been shut down. So many airports in the Middle East, they've actually, closed their airspace. So, but the problem is, it is not easy. It's difficult for anyone to fly above those places because it might be hit by any of these missiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is quite a sad one. When I thought about this whole, how we get people back, the only flight I could think about was Air Peace, honestly speaking, because they are the ones that I know that
it's very difficult for Air Peace to even try.
No, but I know, I'm saying that they are the ones that take that kind of challenge, because we do not have an official airline, for Nigeria. But it's quite scary because personally, I have friends that are still in Dubai. They went on holiday, but they're still in Dubai because they cannot fly back. And they're worried that what is going to happen is they're going to be more of what we saw. So tensions are just very high. And we need to be thinking about how to bring these people home, not stopping people from going there. Of course, I don't think any sane person will say, I want to go to, Israel or, the Middle East now. But the ones that we have there, what are our plans to bring them back? Because it's very uncertain. We don't know what will happen. And still talking about this crisis, I do not even pray. It's not something I want to even last, for 3 or 4 more days because the whole world will feel it. Just like Atuma was saying, it's happening in the Middle East, but we're feeling it here because the prices are going higher. So imagine if we have to deal with this for 90 days, then how do we expect people to survive? So I'm just hoping that they put an end to this. Every time we speak about crisis, I'm totally against it because who suffers? The people, collateral damage. Even when, the airstrikes happened in, the Dubai airport, the place is damaged. One person was hit. So innocent people will get in the, in the fire. And for me, it doesn't even make sense.
It's so sad that we don't know how.
As Nigeria as well, we need to be thinking about how to bring our people that are there and they need to
I think first thing first, they have to look for where to, to be safe because it's very difficult for anyone to say they want to fly there and evacuate them. So we just
because it goes more than just even, saying that the hotel, they'll pay for the hotel. It goes more than that.
Absolutely.
People want to be back in their
hotels
home.
are being hit everywhere.
Yes.
It's just crazy that Trump said that he thought Iran was going to hit, first, and then that's why they hit. That's just funny. And he was even saying that he was the one that took the initiative, trying to say that Netanyahu didn't know anything about it. Even though Netanyahu has been saying for the past 4 decades that Iran would hit them, but never did. But, we just keep monitoring. All right, then let's move on to this Nigeria. 2027 presidency, forget it. Fintiri tells North. Adamawa governor says power should remain in South for another 4 years after Buhari's 8 years. So what they're saying that there's an arrangement or kind of arrangement between the North and the South where there is this power rotation. So Buhari already did 8 years and remained 4 years another 4 years for the South since this current administration took office, about 3 years ago. How do you see this? It's just the normal thing that
I wonder why he even said it. I wonder why.
And funnily, he just defected to the APC.
Yes. Okay. Now you've given me the reason why he said it. It's a practice that everybody knows. It's a practice that everybody knows, and from the body language that is going on now in the political scene, we have a fair idea of where this will swing. So if he is saying that. You just told me now
but,
that he defected to APC recently. So he wants to be a voice.
That's right.
But also, I don't think Fintiri is stopping anybody. He's just, stating a law that is not put down. This is a law that we believe. This is not a law that is written down anywhere. But it's been, the way that people believe. I feel like in terms of election, everybody should contest. If you feel that you can do the job, contest. Now, it's left for we, the citizens, to feel that, okay, I think this person is a good person, I'll go and vote for the person. But nobody is stopping anybody. If it's in your right to go out and say you want to vote, whether from the north, the south, the east, you are a Nigerian. But the most important thing is, do we believe in your ideologies? Do we think that if you're there, you'll be able to crop out all the issues we're having in Nigeria?
Absolutely. Let's move on to Nigerian Tribune, APC, and then Ria, I'll come with you with the leadership newspaper. So Nigerian Tribune, Toma, APC governors consolidate as party picks state excos. Aiyedatiwa loyalist hail exercise. Ex-deputy governor emerges Oyo chairman. That's I've forgotten his name. He has a Alake in his name.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was the former deputy governor, and then now he's the APC chairman. So in Lagos State, the chairman was returned. On those states who recently defected, Delta State, the governor, the chairman who recently defected from PDP now became the chairman of the APC. Quite interesting thing that we see. So governors have actually consolidated their grip of the party because the APC made it known that the parties, the governors are the leaders of the parties in each state.
Yes, governors are the leaders of the parties in each state, and you know that the recent defections had a lot to do with governors, and that's why I was a little bit jittery. I said, if governors are going to be leaders of the party, there were people there before the governors defected. So when the governors come now, they just supersede everybody. But the consensus thing that APC did in these congresses that they had, though 80 or 90% successful, it still brought some crisis, let's say in Benue State and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just right because it gives the party the opportunity to prepare, for the National Congress, which is the big do. I hope other parties are putting their state congresses together as we speak.
Yeah, Ria, so if you look at leadership newspaper, it's giving the other side, saying that there's still crisis. In Benue State, there was a parallel APC.
Let me say it the way I like to say it. It says, the APC Congress, smooth in Delta, messy in Ondo, splits in Benue. I think that's the most beautiful way to actually
Yeah, that is really nice.
Honestly, but at the end of the day, Ibrahim, there will always be this conflict, but we are almost getting to 2027. I feel like it's already here. Now, what our parties need to be doing is to put their house together. This is not the time we're talking about there's confusion or people are not, one person is not supporting this, another person supporting this. The moment that they understand that they all have to come together, if they really want to see the betterment of Nigeria, they all have to come together because they're fighting for one goal. And what goal is it? Is to see Nigeria do better. So even when I see this trouble in party, I know there will definitely be conflicts, but it should not be something that is very, very messy. We do not need that right now. Right now, we need to be thinking about how 2027 will be a credible election, a free election devoid of violence. Those are the things that we should be putting our attention on, not even all this rift here and there. Okay, because of our time, Toma, let me come with you with Observer Times. Ria, get ready for the Platform Times. So Observer Times is saying that how bribed security agents enabled El-Rufai's airport escape. So CDSS hands 5 airport security officers to ICPC following confessions of bribery, and the agency arrests suspects linked to assassination plots against Obi and Oyegun. So you remember the drama that actually happened, at the airport when El-Rufai was supposed to be arrested, coming from Egypt. They said that some officials, were bribed. That's why they facilitated, his exit. But the challenge there is that why should an official get in the middle of an arrest, stop or not enable the security agents to carry out the arrest that they're supposed to do in the line of duty?
I see 2 very obvious reasons: money, and then loyalty. Should I say loyalty? I don't know if loyalty is the very best word to use, but you see, El-Rufai was governor, and what that story did not tell us is where those 5 people come from, their individual states. Even the supporters too were among those who obstructed, the arrest of El-Rufai at the time. Yeah. All I'm trying to say is this: El-Rufai has sympathizers. All right. And what softens people more than cash? You can imagine. you can just imagine how much must have exchanged hands. Maybe it didn't even exchange hands right there, but there was a promise that it would, and they did the needful. It's unfortunate, but it so happened. On the other side, I want to commend the DSS a whole lot for the arrest of those guys that are connected to the assassination attempt. I hear one of them even went to social media the next day and said, you escaped in Benin, next time you will not escape. Those kind of impunity, those kind of braggadocious behavior should not be encouraged, no matter what.
Absolutely, Ria.
Of course, it should never, be encouraged. We should never give these people the opportunity to feel like they are powerful or, we do not have the power to get them. But let me take you back to the RFI story. Whenever we talk about the story, the only thing that is on my lips and a lot of Nigerians is we want to get to the end of the story. We want to see justice really served. This is a man that made so many bold, accusations, so many bold things that he had said. We need to find out if it's true. The most important thing is this wiretapping, and honestly, it's on the lips of every Nigerian. What did you get to do with the information? How long were you, listening to calls that you were not supposed to listen to? So all these things happening around, I don't want it to be distractions. It's not distractions. Let's focus on the main issue. Apparently, yesterday we were speaking about the fact that they had seen some evidence. His wife was there, his son was there. Although they came out to say that it's not true, but now Nigerians deserve to know: have you really seen evidence? What is really happening? Because when things like this happen, there are a lot of distractions, and before you know, we are not talking about the main issue again. And the main issue is that everybody can be touched. You are not, the law is not above anybody. Once you are being found guilty, you would face the full weight of the law.
Absolutely.
So for me, I see all of this as distractions. Let's do our job. Let's bring out concrete evidence. If this man really did the things that they said he did, then he has to face the law. He needs to face the law.
Absolutely. So let's look at the Punch newspaper. Tax law. Talking about law. We've been talking about all the day.
I wish I was a lawyer.
VAT hits record 1 trillion naira as new sharing era begins. And then states, local governments pockets, look at the word, 903 billion naira under revised revenue sharing formula. Federal government share drops to 10% as subnationals gain larger slice, and Lagos leads with 111 billion naira VAT allocation in January. This is huge. Since the removal of fuel subsidy, when people ask you, what have we gained, from the removal of fuel subsidy? Yeah. You are not asking questions from the subnationals because they are getting more than ×2 of what they were used to getting when under the subsidy regime. So this is the time for us to ask questions, from our subnationals, the state and the local governments.
I don't know how we'll say it for people in the states to understand. I don't know how we'll scream for people in the states to understand. The director is cracking me up. Look, 903 billion, is that what you said?
903 rather.
Yeah. 903 billion. Yeah. But that pocket must be really big. 903 billion.
No, shared among 35, 36 states.
Oh, yes. But it's still 903 billion. And that is a major hike in what's going into the subnationals. Look, if we're having issues with infrastructural development in the states, with systems collapse and all that, stop calling the federal government. Our states now are, solvent enough to take care of those things. Let's get our governors to sit up. Monies are getting to them too often. And yet, the states are still the same way that we left them 5 years ago. It's really sad. It's time we started calling our state governors to book. We start getting them to give us answers.
Absolutely. Ria, if you ask Nigerians, like, what's the budget for 2023, they'll tell you offhand. 2024, 2025, 2026, they'll read it out offhand. But if you ask them questions about the budget in their state, they know next to nothing. They are complete ignoramus when it comes to the budget of the local government. So this is the time for us to start asking those questions. Why is it that you've not done the roads that belong to state? Why is it that food prices are also very high? Why is it that, these all of those questions?
And Ibrahim, I always said this, the moment we understand the importance and the impact of accountability, we will do better in Nigeria. Because oftentimes people do things because they know that they will not be held accountable for. And, we have the state governors, everything, the federal government, but you are pointing one hand at them. The remaining hand is pointing back at you. You yourself, what are you doing to make your states better? I like to take an exception because we see some states that are doing well. I don't want to mention names because I'm not trying to praise
No, you can't mention names. For instance, we can talk about Bruno. We can talk about
really, really well in terms of road. We see some state governors that they are up to date. They know what is happening. And that is what we want to see. When you're a governor, you are not just there for decoration. You're there for your people. You're there to make sure your state is doing well. Because guess what? You will not be there for the rest of your life. Now, when you leave, what is the legacy you're leaving behind? There are some governors that when you mention their name, people are like, oh, please, this was the worst governor we'd ever had. And there's some governors that up till now, people still talk about their good works. The most important thing for you to give your people good roads, good schools and good hospitals. We'll talk about primary care. Even some states as at now, you go to the hospitals and you're wondering what is really happening. Like, are they really treating people here? So let us hold these people accountable. Let's hold our governors accountable. What are you really doing? You are not there for decoration, Mr. Governor. You're there to make sure that your people are okay.
Absolutely.
Let me bump in a little bit.
Right.
Yes, we have state governors that are doing well, that are really using this money as well. But out of 37, how many of them? We don't
36.
have, we don't, 36, sorry. Yeah. How many of them do we...
Okay, 37 you're saying, and the FCT.
And FCT. How many of them do we have that are doing these fantastic jobs? I don't think they're out to 5.
So then they
what
should
about
learn.
The rest?
So that's the thing. Even if there's one person, learn from the person. At least look at what the person is doing. Find out how is he doing it, and then incorporate. But you are easy to learn bad things, but you will not learn good things. So.
My message is, let's stop being timid. Let's know that part of our civic responsibility is to engage our state governments and ask them questions and get them to do the right things.
And the governors should also communicate to the people. These are the programs. These are what we've done so far, so that at least they will know that you're doing something.
Carry the people along. Let them know what is going on.
All right, then let's move on to the platform times. And this good news, and we just hope that it is implemented. No more roadblocks for tax enforcement, says federal government. If you look at it, there are different, quite interesting developments here, talking about all the vehicles that are moving from one place to the other. You see them blocking the roads, collecting levies from them for the roads, for the loads they actually carry. So this definitely will go a long way in helping the SMEs, helping small businesses and all of that.
And helping commuters that are traveling from one place to the other. I am really afraid of those revenue roadblocks, because you are not too sure of the people that are there. You don't know if they are armed robbers, they are not wearing uniforms and things like that. That they have been removed now, it's a breath of fresh air. It's like me even a sigh of relief.
Implementation is
really
very
nice.
key. It's
we
not
don't
enough.
need any roadblocks.
Right.
And then when we hear things like this, implementation, and not just implementation, it needs to stand the test of time. I'll just drop one thing here. If you are a Nigerian and you are not paying your tax, you are a wizard, because you do not want the growth of your country. Honestly, that's
the person is an enemy of Nigeria. So the Sport and Life saying that Espirito Santo Iwobi is a talented player, and we have Uzoho gets #1 shirts. The same terrific Lukman Atletico qualify for historic final, so lose 3-0 to Barcelona, but scale through on 3-4. Ademola becomes first Nigerian in 29. So I just love the way our guys are doing, fantastically well outside of, Nigerian soil. All right, then that's about it for the newspapers up for review. Coming up on TVC Breakfast, could Nigeria's youths be the key to Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid? We'll be right back. Just stay with us.